Hey everyone, let's get started with our lesson. We're going to be learning 4 forms today. And the first form we're going to be learning is 네 or 네요. You take a verb stem and you attach 네, or if you're speaking politely, so if you're not speaking casually, you'll attach 네요. If the verb stem ends with this letter though, you remove it first. So if you have the verb 살다 to live, you remove it and you get 사네 or 사네요. So what does this form show? This shows surprise. You can use this when you're surprised at something right now, but it's not used to say like, oh wow, I was surprised in the past, or I will be surprised. It's used for expressing right now, wow, I'm surprised. Right now, I'm surprised. Now, this form is used to show surprise, but there's one more usage for this form, and that is when you want to show that you're agreeing with someone. So by that, I mean saying words like certainly, or really, or definitely. And then what is surprise? Well, surprise right now is kind of like saying, wow, wow. So it can be used to show surprise, or it can be used to show that you're agreeing with someone. So let me give you one quick example of this form. 맛있네요. 맛있다, to be delicious. Wow, it tastes good. Oh, 맛있네요. Hey, it's good. It could also be used for agreeing with someone, right? Someone says, hey, how is it? 맛있네요. You're saying, wow, it's good. But more than that, you're kind of like, yeah, really, it is really good. Or it certainly is good. Or definitely, yeah, it's good. Like you're agreeing with them. You're expressing your surprise, but you could also just be saying, 맛있네요. Well, like, yeah, it's really good. That sort of meaning. So it has those 2 uses. So let me give you 2 more quick examples. 손이 참 작네요. 참 is an adverb that just means really, very. So your hands, 손 작다, to be small. Your hands are really small. You have really small hands. You could be agreeing like, hey, you're right. Your hands are really small. Or you could be expressing it in surprise. Like, oh, wow, your hands are small. 영화가 정말 재밌네요. 영화, movie, 정말, really. 재밌다, to be entertaining, to be fun, to be a good movie. 영화가 정말 재밌네요. Wow, it's a really fun movie. Or maybe you're agreeing. Yeah, it's definitely a really fun movie. So that is 네요. The next form we're going to be learning is the ending 지, or 지요. And the way you do it is you get a verb stem and you attach 지, or if you are speaking politely, you'll attach 요. Now, most of the time, if you're using 지요, it'll actually combine into 조. But you might see some people write it as 지요. But no, it's the same thing, and it shortens to 조 more often. This form is used for requesting confirmation. Well, it's used when you are verbally, so you're saying something that you already think. You already think something, and you want the listener to agree with you. So this is when you're saying something. The speaker is saying something that they already think, and they want the listener to agree with what they're saying. By using it, you are therefore requesting the listener to confirm what you're saying. How do we do that in English? Well, you might attach things like, right? No? Don't you or aren't you? Or maybe in Canada, you might hear them say, eh? It's a bit stereotypical, but I think the feeling matches. That's a good idea, huh? That's a good idea, right? That's a good idea, no? That's a good idea, isn't it? That's a good idea, eh? So let me give you an example. 맛있죠? Now, 맛있다, to be delicious, to taste good. So, 맛있죠? It tastes good. Tastes good, eh? Tastes good, huh? Tastes good, right? Tastes good, doesn't it? So you're simply saying, I think it tastes good. Do you agree? So let me give you 2 quick examples of this form. 조금 비싸죠? 비싸다, to be expensive. 조금, a bit, a little bit. 조금 비싸죠? So it's a little expensive, isn't it? 조금 비싸죠? It's kind of expensive, isn't it? Like, I think it's expensive. Do you agree? 비타민을 매일 먹고 있지요. 비타민, vitamin. 매일, every day, 먹다, to eat. Now, in Korean, they say to eat vitamins or eat medicine. Whereas in English, we say take vitamins or take medicine. So, 먹고 있죠? You are taking your vitamins every day, right? 비타민을 매일 먹고 있죠? You are taking vitamins, right? You should take some vitamins. Okay, let's go on to the next form. The next forms we're going to be learning are 나 and 가. And the way to make it, it depends on whether you're using an action verb or a descriptive verb. Now, what does that mean? Well, an action verb is any verb that you're doing something. So like eating, buying, going, looking, anything that you can do, any action is an action verb. And a descriptive verb is anything that's not. So to be green, to be funny, to be pretty. You don't do funny, you don't do pretty, you don't do green. These are descriptive verbs. So if you have an action verb stem, the way it works is you attach na, and then if you're speaking politely, you'll attach 요. So 하다, to do, can become 하나요. But if the verb stem ends with this letter, you remove it. So if you're using the verb 살다, you remove it and you get 사나요. This form is used in question, just like the 지 or 조 endings that we just learned. For descriptive verbs, however, you'll actually add a different ending depending on whether the descriptive verb stem ends with a consonant or with a vowel. If it ends with a consonant, you're going to attach 은, 가, and then 요 if you're being polite. 은, 가, 요. 작다, the descriptive verb stem is 작. This is a consonant, you get 작은가요? Is it small? If it ends with a vowel, however, you'll attach 니은 followed by 가, 요. For example, 크다, to be big. 큰, 가요. Is it big? 큰가요? And just like this one, you have to remove the lir. This one too, if it's a descriptive verb stem, if it ends with that letter, you remove it. Or if it ends with this letter, you have to do something different. First you remove it, then you attach the syllable u, followed by the rest of the regular conjugation rules, in which case u ends in a vowel, un, ka, yo. So if we have the verb 춥다, to be cold, this ends in a piup, so we remove it. 추우, 추운가요? Both of these forms have the same meaning. So this form shows curiosity. So what does that mean? Well, it means that you are trying to convey that you really want to know something. When you're asking someone a question, you can ask it in many different ways. You can say, hey, do you know this? Or you can say, hey, do you know? It has a softer feeling. Hey, would that be? That kind of softer feeling when you ask a question. This form shows, hey, like, I really want to know, is by chance? Is that something? This is used to show that you're extra curious to know the answer to something. And as a side effect, this form makes your question sound a little bit softer, therefore a little bit more polite sounding. By showing extra curiosity to know the answer to questions, you're actually making yourself sound a little bit softer, and it sounds a little bit more polite. So this is a useful form to know when you want to sound more polite when you're asking a question. Instead of, do you study Korean? Instead of a direct question, you have the feeling of, hey, do you study Korean? Like, I'm really curious. Notice that, Korean? That higher intonation at the end of my sentence. So it shows that extra curiosity when you're asking a question. There is an exception. When you're using anything in the past tense, so any past tense verb stem, it doesn't matter whether it's a descriptive verb or an action verb. You'll always attach 나요. So anytime you're working in the past tense with any past tense stems, simply attach 나요. In addition, now I told you that for descriptive verb stems, you'll attach something different, whether it's a consonant or a vowel, right? You actually have one more option. This is not official, but this is how it gets used more often. If a descriptive verb stem ends in a consonant, you can also simply attach 나요. So that means you have two options. You can either go with the regular form, or you can go with 나요. 작다, to be small, becomes 작은가요? But actually more commonly, you'll simply see 작나요? The exceptions for removing these letters still stand if you're using this. And they still stand for using 나요. Let me give you an example. If you're using a descriptive verb, well, I just gave you the one 춥다, so I guess I don't need to give it to you again, but you'll still remove it. So you get 추운가요 or 춥나요. The reason is the exceptions for these 나요 and 가요 stay the same. When you use 나요, you don't have to remove the piup. But when you use a descriptive verb, 가요, you do have to remove it. But there are many verbs where you can't do that. For example, 이다, to be. 이다 does not end in a consonant. So you have to make this 인가요. So for any descriptive verb that does not end with a consonant, you do have to attach this. So then let me give you an example. 맛있나요? 맛있나요? Is it good? So you're not just saying 맛있어요? Is it good? You're saying, is it good? You're showing extra curiosity to know, thereby making your sentence sound a little bit softer, your question sounds softer, and a little more polite. Versus, 맛있어요? Is it good? There's actually one more exception that I didn't tell you. Whenever you have a descriptive verb that ends with this letter, you simply remove it. This will be common with things like the colors, like 빨갛다, 노랗다, as well as the verb 그렇다, 이렇다, 저렇다, 어떻다. So, 새 집은 어떤가요? So how is the new house? This is 어때요? You could just ask 어때요? How is it? Or you can ask 어떤가요? How is it? 제 목소리가 작았나요? 제 목소리, my voice. 작다, to be small. Now with sounds, you can say a sound is big or small, and that's how you say loud and quiet. So, 작았나요? This is past tense. Was my voice quiet? 제 목소리가 작았나요? Was my voice quiet? Let's do our next and final form for today, and that is 군. The way you make it also depends on whether you're using an action verb or a descriptive verb. If you have an action verb stem, you'll attach 는, 군, and then if you're being polite, 요. Now, if the verb stem ends with a lir, you'll remove it. If we have the verb 하다, 하는 군, 요. If you have the verb 살다, to live, 사는군요. For descriptive verbs, you simply attach 군 and then 요, if you're being polite. So to be spicy, 맵다, 맵군, 맵군요. To be long, 길다, 길군요. So what does this form mean? Well, this form shows that you've realized something. This would be like saying, oh, or maybe I see, or maybe so then. You like realizing something. So then it was, I see. That's all you need to know for conjugation, but in the past tense, whether you're using a descriptive verb or an action verb, the past tense stem will only attach 군, 요. Also, there's one extra form that you can use. You might also see 는, 구, 나. If it's an action verb, you'll attach 는, 구나. And if it's a descriptive verb, it'll just be 구나. 구나 is only for casual use. You cannot attach 요 to the end to make this polite. But this one is more commonly used than 군 when you're speaking casually. A lot of people are writing 그렇군요. One of the most common ways that you'll see this used is in the expression 그렇군요. 그렇다 means to be so. So it's like saying, oh, I see. Okay. Yeah, you're right. Oh, okay. I see. So this is how you express I see, and that's where it comes from. 맛있군요. Oh, I see. Hey, it tastes good. If you can add the expression, oh, I see, and it still makes sense, then you're using it correctly. 맛있군요. 드디어 눈이 오는군요. 드디어 means finally, at last. 눈, snow. 오다, to come. So snow is coming, literally. It is snowing. At last, it's finally snowing. Oh, I see, it's snowing. 드디어 눈이 오는군요. 원숭이도 나무에서 떨어지는군요. 원숭이 means monkey. 나무 means tree. 떨어지다 means to fall. So, oh, I see that even monkeys fall from trees. 원숭이도 나무에서 떨어진다 is an expression that means even monkeys fall from trees, and it's a way to express even masters make mistakes. 원숭이도 나무에서 떨어지는군요. So, oh, I see. So monkeys do fall from trees. So I realize now, I guess everyone can make mistakes. So that is the last sentence for our lesson. 그럼 다음에 또 봐.